When I visit elementary school classes to present my books, to read and draw with kids, the first question that I like to ask is, are there any artists in the room today? In kindergarten classes, almost every kid's hand will shoot up into the air. But as I visit with older grades, I see fewer and fewer hands. And when we draw together, I hear comments like, my drawing is trash. I'm no good at this. I need to start over. What do I do if I messed up? And I have to wonder, where did all the artists just go? And where did all of these art critics come from? Now, I think that there is a common misconception that starts to build around this age, and maybe some of us still hold it in adulthood, which is that criticism is the opposite of art. But that's just not true. They are part of the same process. The kid that self-identifies as an artist through school, even into adulthood, first off, they didn't start any better at art than the rest of us. And they're also not devoid of this critical inner dialogue. They just figure out a way to use it. They figure out a way how to reframe it and hear it constructively. So it's actually a really helpful tool if you can see it that way. It can tell us what we want to do on our next piece of art, where we'll make our adjustments and tweaks that will lead to our next work and our next work. And if we do enough works, we tend to improve. That's how that works. It's pretty cool. But the critical voice, it can be intimidating, and it can chase away our creative sides before they have a chance to develop. Even for me as a professional artist, some days that voice is too loud and it stops me before I even start. So when I teach art to kids, I like to share techniques that I use to delay my inner critic. And so I can feel like an artist, so I can feel creative and start making art. And the good news is they work for adults too, these techniques. So I would like to invite everyone of every age to join me at my desk here. I have a second camera on my desk, and I'm going to show you some techniques, a couple techniques that I use. Here we go. And maybe we can all kind of chase away those inner critics and activate those kindergarten artists that we all used to be. So I'm going to start here by drawing a flower. Oh boy. There's my flower drawing. My critical mind is very active right now. I can't believe I just did that drawing on a TED Talk. That's a little embarrassing. All right, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that critical voice in our heads. If you have paper, if you have any pencils or pens at home, please feel free to join me. I'm going to start here by tearing out a shape. I have folded that paper in half, that slightly embarrassing flower I drew in half, and I am tearing out one of these shapes that I drew. Here we go. Shape one. Just to speed things along on my end, I have scissors here. I probably have more art supplies than you have at your disposal right there. But I don't know. I don't know your house. I mean, we're all at home right now. If you have a ballpoint pen or a pencil on your desk or in the cushion of your couch, or if you have kids, maybe there are crayons hiding beneath your table legs, go ahead and pull those out and join me. So that's my second shape. And my third shape right here, what we're making right now is a stencil. That is one of my tools that I often use to block my critical mind. I'm going to place this stencil on top of another piece of paper. And I have this pencil here. So let's start with the pencil. I'm just going to start by shading in one of these stencil cutout shapes that we've started with here. Cool thing about graphite, if you've got it here, it kind of smudges. Like I said, you might have the crayons under the desk or whatever. I've got some colored pencils here. This, in fact, is a rainbow colored pencil. I don't suppose any of you have one of those handy. That's okay. And you see, I'm kind of monologuing over my creative process here, but I, I've already stopped thinking about, is this good? I mean, I think looking at these scribbles, it's kind of clear that either it doesn't matter or it's not. And if you're joining along, you're probably not having trouble thinking about that question, is this good? And look, we're just freed up. We are drawing kind of over the edges of these stencils. Sometimes the paper will want to fight with you if you get really scribbly in there. That's okay. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing to fight with a piece of paper. Nobody likes fighting really with anybody, but a piece of paper is especially embarrassing. So a technique you can use is draw from the shelf into the void. Just like that. And I've got another color here. If you just have one pencil or a ballpoint pen, this looks really cool. What you can focus on more than color is actually texture. I've got these colors, so I'm using them, but I'm also really interested in the texture happening here. I find it very interesting. And I'm just not thinking about that question, is it good or not? And that's helpful right now. My last color I'm going to end with is some yellow. I'm going to blend in some of this yellow, bring out the sunshine, and we're just about ready to remove this stencil. I'm just about ready. Maybe you are too. I will warn you, beware. As soon as we remove this stencil, our critical brain is going to activate. But instead of hearing these critical notes instead of hearing them as doubts, we can reframe it now and hear them as notes for our next piece of art. I'm going to do my next piece of art right now. Maybe you will too. Thanks for joining me today, artists.